Hey everybody. We've done a lot of studies here and there, and this morning, or today, it's morning for me right now, but whenever you're watching this, there are times for me, and I know for other people, whether they will say it to you or anyone else or not, that we can get depressed. And I know amongst followers of Jesus, there's been times where that's been an ugly, bad word, like, oh, if you're depressed, obviously you have a faith problem. Well, the Bible has a problem with that because you see people like David getting depressed. How do I know that? Because he's written Psalms for us that tell us, hey, I am depressed. Doesn't use the word depressed, but when you're depressed, you don't walk around saying, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. I don't say that. I say other things. David says other things that clearly tell us that he was depressed. Jeremiah, there's times in his life where he says, you know what, I wish I wasn't even born. It's just depressed. Other men of God, as we go through, they get down. Jesus himself praying to God the Father, if it is your will, Lord, take this cup from me. It's too much. I feel like this is too much. And we could say, well, that Jesus can't get depressed, except for the fact that Hebrews tells us that he has been tempted in every way that we have. He feels and has emotions like we have. So is he human or not? It isn't just those poor, pathetic humans that get depressed. And I really want to address that because I've seen so many people. Let's just go in the context of the church. I've seen a lot of people get depressed in the church and I don't like to normally use this word, but they hear the same stupid thing. Things will get better. Look up. It's okay. Pat, pat, pat. Arr. It's not helpful. We among the church are supposed to be the most forgiving, the most loving, the most caring. Jesus said this was how people would know that we're his, is by our love. And I just narrowly focused here on depression. We do an awful job. I've seen pastors get depressed. And when they reach out for help, the leadership castigate them. They push them down. They treat them like they're less, like their faith has been damaged some way, like maybe they shouldn't be in the pastorate anymore. I've seen that happen. I've seen people in the context of a church have their pastor treat them like they were less because they were depressed. And it's just an awful shame for us when Jesus didn't say, I was thinking, this might be a great idea, if you loved. You loved each other, you loved your neighbors, yourself. It's kind of a nifty idea, think about that. Jesus doesn't say that. Jesus said that us loving is his command to us. Our King has given us a command. But I want to shift back and talk about depression. I'm just going to take a quick look just as a point of reference for you. Psalm 30. I'm just going to start right at the top. There's only 12 verses. I'm going to read through them and kind of comment the way through. You can go back for yourself and take a look for yourself. I praise you, Eternal One. You lifted me out of that deep, dark pit and denied my opponents the pleasure of rubbing in their success. So many times when you and I get depressed, we feel like it's an us and them kind of thing. like we're the only ones that feel this way. All these other people are so much better off. That us and them opponent kind of thing happening. And David's describing that exact thing here. Eternal One, my true God, I cried out to you for help. You mended the shattered pieces of my life. You lifted me from the grave with a mighty hand, gave me another chance, saved me from joining those in that dreadful pit. Sing, all you who remain faithful. Pour out your hearts to the Eternal with praise and melodies. Let grateful music fill the air and bless his name. His wrath, you see, is fleeting, but his grace lasts a lifetime. And I would say in his wrath, God is not a God. David is not meaning that he thinks God is this big bully in the sky. He's saying the correction. His displeasure at sin, because David knows full well what it is to sin against God. Psalm 51 shows us that. The deepest pains may linger through the night, but joy greets the soul with a smile of morning. When things were quiet and life was easy, I said in arrogance, nothing can shake me. And that's the insidious thing about depression, is we remember back to a so-called great time in our life when we thought, but we are just like, everybody is the same on this. We all have a learning curve with life. And we think there are times in your life where you may think, man, I've got it figured out. I think that's a fairly normal thing to think that. And David's just expressing that here. By your grace eternal, I thought I was as strong as a mountain, but when you left my side and hid away, I crumbled in fear. There are times when we feel God is far away. God doesn't just flee from us. I don't believe that's what God says. That's not what David is meaning here. Because the whole of Scripture does not say that God runs away from us. God hates sin. Why? He doesn't hate us. He hates the sin. And the reason for that is that God knows, like we should know. Sin does one thing. It tears us apart. It destroys the beautiful that God intends for our life. That is a certainty. It's not a, well, maybe this could happen. It's a certainty. It'll shred to pieces the beauty that God intends for your life, for mine. O Eternal One, I called out to you. I pleaded for your compassion and forgiveness. I'm no good to you, dead. What benefits come from my rotting corpse? My body in the grave will not praise you. No songs will rise up from the dust of my bones. From dust comes no proclamation of your faithfulness. Hear me, Eternal Lord. Please help me, Eternal One. Be merciful. You did it. You turned my deepest joys into joyful dancing. You stripped off my dark clothing, covered me with joyful light. You have restored my honor. My heart is ready to explode, erupt in new songs. It's impossible to keep quiet, Eternal One. My God, my life giver, I will thank you forever. This David just saying here that I'm no good to you, dead, Lord. Because so many times when we can be depressed, we feel like we're dying. We may wish for death even. That those thoughts may come to our mind. But what Satan wants, the insidious part of depression is, it turns us inside ourselves. We block other people out. We block the answers that we need because we need that encouragement from other people. David here says, he's crying out to the Lord, hey, I'm no good to you, dead. But he's crying out to the Lord. That is significant. Remember that. In your depression, I can cry out to the Lord. Because curling up into a ball and kicking everybody out of the room is only going to make things immeasurably worse. David says here for us, it is my witness to you, people, God saves. God restored me. My heart is ready to explode, erupt in new songs. It is impossible to keep quiet. Eternal One, my God, my life giver, I will thank you forever. Remember that. We need each other. We need God. And if you are depressed, it is not some horrible faith-rotting thing that somehow you have something about you that's less, that other Christians are much better, that if you were a real Christian, you wouldn't be depressed. Do not believe it. I've heard a full third of the Psalms are Psalms of lament. Why? If it's such a horrible thing, like we've been all told, why would God have this in here? Why would Jesus be, oh Lord, if it is your will, take this cup from me? Why all these things in there? Because God understands we get down, but he says, I'm the way up. But that us loving each other, we can lift each other up too. So don't forget that. In your body of believers that you are a part of, remember those people around you, because you can be the lifeline for them. And if you're down and you're depressed, reach out. Reach out that hand even though you don't feel like it, because they can be a lifeline for you.